everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you could make it because today we've got a really special video for you. It was actually inspired from a comment that we got about 2 weeks ago on our Biltong tutorial video. The comment went like this: Eric, do you suppose a guy could even use a smoke-it smoker with the convection fan on and keep it right around 75 degrees Fahrenheit with the fan on medium? I replied by saying that I thought that too much air would blow over the meat, causing it to dry too quickly. But I got to thinking about Biltong and how it's made and how we made it. When we made it, we dried it literally right here. We just hung it on this shelf. Then later we made a Biltong box, have a video on that, and then we made Biltong in a Biltong box. And I got to thinking about the concept of a Biltong box. And a Biltong box is incredibly simple. It's just a container. It could be cardboard, it could be plastic, it could be wood, it doesn't matter. There are some vents at the bottom, there's some vents at the top. In our case, we had a light bulb at the bottom providing some heat, and then we had a little fan, a little computer fan, drawing that hot air up. And I got to thinking about a smoker, especially the one we have, the smoke-it smoker. We have a box, we have the heating element at the very bottom, we have a hole at the bottom, that's where the drain pan is, fresh air can come in, and we have a hole at the top, that's where the smoke exits. And so basically we have a stainless steel version of a Biltong box. All we need is for something to sit right on top to help draw that heat up and that moist air out. And smoking it happens to make a product called a jerky dryer, which we have. We've made lots of different types of dog treats and jerky with the jerky dryer. And so I thought, why have I never thought of this before? We can stick the jerky dryer directly on top of our smoker and turn our entire smoker into an absolutely amazing Biltong box. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today in today's Biltong experiment. Since we're using our smoker though, we're going to go ahead and smoke it for a couple of hours and see if adding a little bit of smoke elevates that flavor. Let's get started. Let's take a look at our meat selection for today's Biltong. We're using the bottom round, also known as the silver side, but you could use the top round or the top side. We're going to remove this one little section. Notice that it's joined by some sinew. So we're going to remove that and then process that later, remove the sinew. And this is what we're left with. This is the bottom round roast. And notice the grain on this roast. It's running a bit at a diagonal. I'm going to cut this piece in half to make it a little more manageable, but when we cut our Biltong slices, you're going to be cutting with the grain. And what I typically like to do is make my cuts roughly about the size of my thumb. So anywhere between, 20 millimeters and 22 millimeters, something like that. But that's my personal preference. I've seen it as small as 15 millimeters and as large as 30 to 35 millimeters. So the choice is yours. Let's go ahead and cut our steaks. And remember, we're cutting with the grain. And when you cut your steaks with the grain, your final product is going to deliver a very tender against the grain cut. Let me just show you what that looks like. So notice the grain on this steak is running left to right. And when we go to slice it to eat our Biltong, we're going to be cutting it against the grain. So it's going to deliver a nice tender bite. Our steaks are uniformly cut. And it's time to move on to the next step. So once you have everything processed, we're going to weigh it. If you check the description box, there's going to be a link to the recipe, and in that recipe, you're going to enter the total weight of your meat. So in this case, 7,859 grams. So let's head over to the website and see what we've got. This is from the link that you'll find in the description box. Notice right here it says, how much do you want to make? Well, this is the area that you're going to enter the total weight of your meat. And so in our case, 7,859 grams, and the recipe will auto-calculate. So it doesn't matter how much meat you're working with, just enter that number in and then add the appropriate amount of spices that the recipe calls for. Now that everything's calculated, let's look at the ingredients. We have Worcestershire sauce and vinegar. I'm using red wine vinegar. Malt vinegar is more commonly used, but you could use white vinegar, apple cider vinegar. I wouldn't use balsamic though. Next up, we have toasted coriander, and you got to toast the coriander. It just makes a huge difference, bringing out the beautiful flavor of coriander. And we've lightly toasted the peppercorn, which will intensify the aroma and just bring a more complex, nuanced flavor. Of course, we're going to be adding salt, and an optional ingredient, we're going to be adding savory. Savory is an umami booster. It's a flavor enhancer, and I think it's going to take this Biltong and turn it into something extraordinary. So I'm just going to combine the salt and the savory, and that'll be one ingredient. Next, we need to grind the toasted coriander and the toasted black pepper. All right, We have our toasted coriander, our black pepper combined. We have our salt and savory, and we have our Worcestershire with our vinegar. And those are the three elements of curing your biltong. Now, there's lots of different ways to cure your biltong. Probably the easiest way would have been to start with a new pan, put down a thin layer of that vinegar Worcestershire mix, and then begin to stack our meat. And then on each level, continue to add more of that mix so that each one of those pieces get coating. But for whatever reason, I chose to do it this way, and that's okay. Once you have all of those pieces coated, you're going to come back with your salt, and if you're using savory, then of course the savory. We're going to coat each one of those pieces equally with that mix, front and back. And that's going to ensure that it's not only properly salted, but it's also properly cured. The vinegar and the salt act as curing agents, and it's the primary reason that you're able to make biltong and let it hang at room temperature, basically, for about a week without the meat spoiling. So coat each side, front and back, and once you're finished, it's time to add the coriander black pepper. And we're basically going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take my mixture and evenly sprinkle it on the front and back of each piece of meat. The recipe does make more coriander black pepper than you need. Now, you can use 100% of it right here, but the reason I did that is so that you can have a little left over, so once it's finished curing, you can come back and add a spice crust at the end. Now, that is completely optional, but it does make a nice boost of flavor on your finished product. Interestingly enough, the coriander acts as an antimicrobial, which prohibits bacterial growth during the drying process. So that's definitely an ingredient you don't want to skip out on. Now that we're done, everything looks coated. We need to put this into the refrigerator for 24 to 36 hours. At this point, you can cover it with cling film and place it into your fridge. But I want you to notice the liquid line on our tin. It's roughly at about halfway, just like that. So really only the bottom section is sitting inside that liquid. And so if you're going to do it like this, you're going to have to rotate the meat, every 12 hours, where the top now is on the bottom is on the top, and that's going to help ensure that everything cures properly. Another way to do it is to stick it into a bowl. Now, a bowl is going to increase that surface area. Notice where my liquid line is over here, so it's a little bit higher up. Even in a bowl, I am, after about 12 hours, going to rotate the meat, ensuring that it cures properly as well. You could put this in a vacuum seal bag, and that would be the most effective way to cure your meat. And if you happen to do that, then all I would suggest doing is about every 12 hours, flip the bag over, give the bag a massage, and let it do its thing. It should cure no problem. All right, let's put some cling film on this, stick it into the refrigerator, and I'm going to let it go for about 36 hours. This is what it looks like when it's finished. This is considered an equilibrium cure, so if you happen to let it go a little bit longer, not a big deal. I like 36 hours because I feel like it gives it a little more flavor. And we're now ready to start drying. Now remember, I did talk about a spice crust, 100% optional. If you're going to do that, this is the time to do it. And all we're going to do is just lightly sprinkle some of that toasted coriander, toasted black pepper on each side of your biltong steaks, making sure they're all evenly coated. If you love coriander and you love black pepper, now you kind of need to love both, you're going to absolutely appreciate this spice crust on the finished product. All right, let's get our Smokin' It smoker set up. I happen to be using a convection smoker, but we're not using the convection for this project, so a regular Smokin' It smoker should work. Notice we have our steaks laying horizontal. We are going to be using equal parts hickory, apple, and oak. That's the Bella's cold smoke generator. And we're going to fire it up. That's going to keep the temperature inside the smoker nice and cool. I don't want it to get hot. I'm not trying to cook the biltong during this step. I just want to cold smoke it. And I'm going to be cold smoking this for anywhere between 4 to 5 hours. And this is also a personal preference. You can go longer if you want it more smoky. This is the Smokin' It jerky dryer, and how it works is you set that unit directly on top of the hole where the smoke is coming out, and a fan helps to draw the moist air out of your smoker, in essence turning your smoker into a giant dehydrator. Notice my convection is off. I do feel that if we turn the convection on, it'll allow too much airflow inside the smoker, drying the biltong too quickly, which is definitely what I don't want, but I am 100% speculating. I was told by Smokin' It that you could take the jerky dryer and place it directly over the hole while you're cold smoking, but for today's biltong experiment, I am going to keep it separate. So after 4 to 5 hours of smoking, we are going to place that jerky dryer right on top. Let me show you what the programming looks like on our smoker. This is a digital smoker, so we don't have to worry about messing with it through the process. We're going to set the temperature to 86 Fahrenheit and the time for 23 hours and 59 minutes, because that's the most I can have. And each one of those steps is going to be the exact same. So when step 1 is finished, it's going to bump to step 2, step 3, step 4. Notice 86 Fahrenheit and for 24 hours basically. And I'm going to check this after about 3 days. Now, setting your smoker to 86 Fahrenheit will not cool your smoker down. This only heats up. So if it's very hot outside, it might be kind of difficult for you to get to 86 Fahrenheit unless you move your smoker into a cool, shady area. We are finished with the smoking process. I'm going to line up the hole on the bottom of the jerky dryer with the hole on the smoker, and that's going to help draw that moist air up. And it's currently plugged into the control panel of the smoke in its smoker. And at this point, we wait. And in my case, it was 72 hours. But you can let it go 4 days. You can let it go 5 days. Just depends on how you like your biltong. Beautiful looking finished product. I love the way this smells right now. I'm getting all that biltong plus that smoky element. Oh yeah, I like that. Let's give it a slice. Our smoked biltong is done, and I couldn't be happier. We used a Smoke It smoker for our biltong box, and we added a jerky dryer to just help pull some of that moisture, that heat up and out of the smoker. Temperature was 86 degrees, and we kept it in there for a total of 3 days, 72 hours. So this right here would be considered wet biltong. If you like it a little more, firm on the outside, a little bit chewier on the outside, you can leave it in there for 4 days. Or for 5 days. Really, the choice is yours. Take a piece out, give it a cut, and see if you like it. I personally like a wetter biltong, so I think this is going to be great. But like I said, it's a personal preference. Let's give it a bite. Seriously. Let me start off by saying that I completely realize that the quality of today's beef is not ideal for making biltong. It's lean and it's very young. But that's what we can get our hands on in the country that I live. And so if you live in a country where you can only get 100% grass-fed beef and they slaughter them pretty young, don't worry about it. You can still make amazing biltong. But the most ideal beef for biltong is beef that has yellow fat, slightly more abundant, and it's going to boost the flavor of your biltong. And just thinking about this tasting even better is kind of blowing my mind, if I had to be completely honest, because this is ridiculous. Let's start with the smoke. We used hickory, apple, and oak in the pellet form using the Bella's cold smoke generator. That's also from Smoking It. Using a cold smoke generator allowed us to keep the temperature inside the smoker at 86, so it never really got up above 87, 88 while it was cold smoking. And then once we finished, we put the jerky dryer on and continued drying. Adding that smoke element radically changes the flavor of biltong. And for me, about 5 hours was perfect. I don't feel like it's overly smoky. Let me just get in this little bite here. That's nice. Oh, that's going to be good. I am so glad I made a lot. The other contributing factor to the elevated flavor of this biltong is the addition of Savory. We did not add that before, but we added it to this batch at 1%. Savory is going to naturally enhance the beefiness, the umami, the savoriness of whatever you add it to. And when I eat this, I'm getting all of those elements magnified. That's crazy. We've not only boosted the flavor by adding Savory, but we've also boosted the perception of flavor and enhanced the aroma. So on all level, as you're eating it, you're smelling it, you're thinking about it, and then after you're done eating, the essence of the biltong continues to bloom on your tongue. And that's a very difficult thing to describe. It's almost like a biltong experience. The fat, albeit young, is still very creamy and very flavorful. The spice crust, it kind of does what it does. You know, you're going to get a punch of black pepper. You're going to get that toasted coriander flavor, which is nutty. It's smoky a little bit. It's a little floral, which is absolutely beautiful and pairs perfectly with this meat. The last time we made biltong, we did add chili flakes, and honestly, I'm kind of not missing it. Overall, this is, hands down, the best version of biltong that we've made. And if you have the opportunity to make this version, I'll put a recipe link in the description box below. You are not going to be disappointed. This is seriously good. If you want more information on the jerky dryer, the Smoke It Smoker, and the Bella's Cold Smoke Generator, those are the 3 tools that we use to make this happen. I'll put links to those products in the description box below. And if you have any questions about today's project, the ultra savory smoked biltong, drop them in the comment section. I'll tell you what, I've already got some ideas on how I want to use this. Be sure to stick around. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. It's tender, it's chewy, it's biltong.